What is something that in your culture is normal, but in another place is a weird thing?
Getting a sausage from a hardware shop.
To leave the stroller with the sleeping baby inside it outside a cafe, while the mom did sits in Denmark. Edit. It's a common thing all over Scandinavia, Scandinavian Peninsula. In Vietnam, when you order in places with menus, the waiter will stare at you when you chose food.
Using a puzzling mixture of metric and imperial measurements, for example, measuring cooking ingredients in grams but measuring body weight in stones.
Some casual Iranian sayings of endearment. I want to eat your liver, I will sacrifice my life for you, my stomach is tight for you, wishing your breath to be warm, not endearing, but dirt on your head if you are upset with someone, essentially meaning that you should be buried.
Pointing to a direction with your lips.
Celebrating a chubby, mystical groundhog that can predict the end of winter based on its shadow, surprised face.
I wouldn't say this is part of me culture, but in both Kenya and India, I'd been away for so long that I'd completely forgotten this craziness and was visiting me mum. Addressing strangers using terms used for family members like brother, sister, uncle, the most common being brother-sister. We have unique words representing all four variations of little big brother-sister. And guess what? One day you would be calling a girl Bani, little sister. Then you either call each other by name or come up with nicknames. Edit. I am from Naples.
Touching elders' feet as a greeting and sign of respect.
Beating women with a bundle of twigs. Throwing cold water at them and then spraying. Being casually naked in same room with strangers, sometimes even with opposite sex. In this case, it's of course good old Finnish sauna. It's guests pay to attend the wedding banquet. Depending on who you invite, it's quite common for the newlyweds to make a decent profit.
Cheering in a pub when someone drops a glass. Saluting magpies saying bye 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 but bye now, bye bye bye, but bye 100 times before you hang up the phone. Going to the funeral of anyone you even remotely know. Our funerals can be massive. Waving a salute to anyone you pass on the road. Leaving the pub without telling anyone.
Apparently people don't just walk up to strangers and start a conversation in other places. Friendly people here tend to do it and most actually don't mind a little small talk. Edit. Apparently everyone does this everywhere except around the Baltic and North Seas. In me culture it is considered an insult to refuse food offered to you in someone else.
Let's see. In no particular order, giving your boss a kiss when you arrive at the office, drinking one big glass of alcohol whenever will you eat something, even the 6 p.m. snacks, getting mad at people who arrive early at your parties or even on time because who the fuck shows up without being at least 5 minutes late, giving a nod to the fully armed military whenever you go out in the city center, preparing about 3 different glasses, 4 plates of different sizes and 3 sets of cutlery per person *** whenever you invite them to eat at home. Guess where I'm from?
Head bobble. Eating raw pork met birchen seasoned, raw minced pork on a bun, optional. Shouldn't to be attempted elsewhere since raw pork isn't safe to eat unless you know it's fresh. Met is made specifically to be eaten raw and has to be made fresh on the day and either eat. If your country doesn't have this kind of standard you shouldn't try it unless you trust your butcher. Edit. A lot of people pointing out trichinosis as the main issue, and after I'm assuming this is what's not being done in places where it's not normal to eat raw pork.
You'll see living with your parents in your 20s, and when you get married it's still commonplace for the husband and wife to live with the wife's parents for the first couple of years of marriage. Alcohol is strictly frowned upon, but smoking, even from a young age, is a societally acceptable act. Eating rice with every meal. Being late, up to around half an hour to 45 minutes, is societally acceptable and is sometimes expected, so invitees would often push the meeting time a bit earlier. Absolutely stuffing your guests with food. Eating chocolate with cheese.
Saying hey, how you going, as a greeting. Extremely common in Australia, but apparently it isn't used anywhere else in the English-speaking world. Was extremely surprised when I said it to an American one day while talking online, and they were confused. What do you mean, how am I going? By car. It's interesting, because it's like the perfect amalgamation of how's it going, and how you doing, but for some reason it doesn't seem to register that way for non-Aussies.
Calling people nicknames by their appearance if you don't know the person, like for example we could see some washing our ass right after we poop. Where I live in the US, we pull over for funeral processions. It's a respect thing and everyone does it. A friend of mine from a different part of the States saw me do this while driving once and was so it's so common I did realize some people don't do this.
Buying your 5-year-old daughter a pair of thongs. In Australia, flip-flops, the shoes, are called thongs.
Apparently thanking bus drivers. Calling someone a monkey isn't racist here, it just means they are being cheeky or hyper if it's a
Eating guinea pig.
Calling someone a cunt is sometimes a term of endearment. It's all about intonation, as in cunt translates to mate. We celebrate black-faced people helping an old dude on a horse delivering candy and presents to